Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You're watching Indigo Tech Tutorials, and in this video we're going to continue on the series where we're building TikTok using Ruby on Rails. So I know you guys have been enjoying this series so far, and we've already built a bunch of features in the app. So what we have is basically like the simple layout of TikTok. So you can go and view posts, you can even scroll to view new posts, you can click the like button to like a certain post, you can also upload videos. Yeah, this is already a super cool outline. You could totally call this MVP and release this and get some users, but I think there's still a bunch of small little features that we could add to make this even better. So that's what we're going to try to do in this video. We're going to continue and we're going to build some more cool stuff for the app. Alright, so let's hop right into this. The first feature I was really thinking about was adding comments to the TikTok posts. So we already have likes, but it might be a cool thing to add comments. So if you had some thoughts about a certain post, you could leave the comment. Yeah, this is something that should be easy enough to build. So let's hop right into it. So the first thing that we're really going to need, in my opinion, is a model to store the comment information. Although that could be tricky because when we get to comments that reply to comments, we might have to come up with something slightly different. But for right now, we could just keep it simple and not even handle the replies, and then we can get to that in a second. So I'm just going to go to the terminal, clear this out, and let's generate a brand new model for our app. So I'm going to do RailsG model, and again, I'm going to namespace it underneath the post model. So we're going to do post slash comment. I don't know, I just feel like it's a clean way of doing it. Although obviously we could just have a comment model, but I think this is totally fine for now. And then for the attributes, of course, it's going to belong to a post. It's also going to belong to a user. And then for storing the text of the comment, we can just put something like body and then do that type text. And that should be good enough for this comment model. So now we can press enter to run the generator. And again, it's going to try to override the post model, so make sure you press N or no to tell it to not override the post model. But after we get this far, we now have a new comment model in our app. We could just migrate the database to complete that. And yeah, now we have that comment table. So what I'm going to do is let's go back into the code now. And inside of our TikTok Rails app, let's go and take a look at the models. That's usually what I do first. So let's go to the app models and then the post comment.rb. So as you can see, we have this new class post : comment, and it belongs to a post. It also belongs to a user. Now we just have to make sure that the models that it belongs to know about the comment, which it doesn't right now. So if you go to the post.rb, you can kind of see like this is getting pretty repetitive, but it's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing that it's so easy. So we could almost just copy one of these other associations and just change it to comments, comment, and then boom, your work is done. Now a post has a comment, and we could just copy that, drop it right into the user model, and now user has comments. So it's super, super easy. And now we can move on to the next step, which is actually building in the UI. So what I'll do is I'll probably have a button right next to the heart button, which will be for comments. And then when you click on the comment button, it could open up like a little slide out menu, I guess. And well, you'd also want to look at people who have commented on a post. So I don't really remember how TikTok does it, but we could always just have like a slide out menu that kind of slides up, and then you can scroll through comments. You can also leave your own comment. That's probably a good way to start. I think TikTok on desktop they like to put stuff on the side. I guess it makes sense because there's so much space, but I'm almost building this app with a mobile first sort of perspective because I want it so that when we do it on mobile, it's super intuitive and we can totally launch this into a mobile app right away. That's kind of what I'm thinking for this project. So yeah, let's go to the views, feed, and the post partial because that's really where all of our stuff is showing up right now. And we have this, right, we have this absolute section right here, which is, doing absolute, and it's positioned all the way at the bottom. If we wanted to put a background color on this real quick, just to see what space is taking up, you'll see that this is like pink section, whatever. So that looks good. I think what I'll do most likely then is we'll go into this flex class and we can just drop in a comment button right here. So I'll just start by going and grabbing an icon. Let's just do hero icons again because they're pretty reliable for finding icons. So I kind of like this chat bubble with 2 different chat bubbles because it kind of means like, you're talking to the community in my perspective. So I'm going to add a width 10 class, and then we're also going to make it a little bit lighter. Let's take a look at how this comes out. All right, so not bad. Although, honestly, I might go with a style similar to the heart button where there's an outline and then we fill it. Let me go look at the like button real quick. We went with width 10, so that is good. What I'll probably do is I'll change this text to fill. So it means it'll just fill the inside and it still has the black outline, which looks pretty clean. Now we could add some space between these buttons because it looks a little bit squeezed in there. There's not much space. So we can just add a gap to this flex, gap 4, and boom, we now have a little bit of space. One thing I'm also noticing is it'd be cool to have a hover effect, at least for, the desktop version. So we could go back to the like partial and we could probably just add a hover effect somewhere in here. Even if it's just on the top level div, I think no problem with adding a hover effect here. Let's see. Yeah, not a big deal. Yeah, I like it. Now we could do the same thing for the comment. Although the comment, all we really have is this SVG. So we probably would wrap this in a link, and I'll just do a temporary, I'll do the pound sign just as a placeholder until we come up with the route that we're going to use for the comments. And then we could put our hover class on there. Class hover, scale 105. Bam. And now you have a little bit of a hover effect on these buttons, which can be nice. So what I'm thinking is when you click this comment button, it's going to open up a little pop-up window where it'll show the comments and it'll also let you create a new comment. So basically we need to just render a page, like a different page that we'll create, and we can put it inside of a turbo frame that just pops up, maybe absolute positioned over the video. That's basically all I'm thinking. So if we look at our post right here, we already have this absolute section right here, but it's kind of confined to this content. It also has this bottom styling already, so I might just put another turbo frame and we can take a look at this whole video. So maybe we'd put it somewhere in this div because we have the relative scoping. So we could basically just come to the bottom here outside of our controls. We could even move this to a partial if you wanted to, like post controls, but we're gonna have another div that's absolute. We'll just do a div class absolute bottom 0. We're not going to give it a width or a height or anything, at least not right now, because I don't want it to actually take up any space. I don't want it to overlap with the buttons, so make sure that these are still clickable. Everything still seems the same. But what's going to happen is we'll put a turbo frame inside of here. We'll do a turbo frame tag, and this is going to be for the comments. So I think I'm going to use DOM ID just in case. Like right now, we're only showing 1 post per page anyways. So it's not like you need a unique ID if there's only 1 post, but just in case in the future we have multiple posts on the same page for whatever reason, DOM ID will make sure that you have a unique ID for each one, because you just pass in post right here, and then we can put like what type of thing it is, or basically just put a namespace kind of thing. So I'll just say it's the post comment. It'll put these 2 things together and create a unique ID for our turbo frame. And then in the other places, we can easily reference this again. So that's almost what I'm thinking. We have this turbo frame. If we reload, there shouldn't really be anything different. We can still click all the buttons. But then what's going to happen is when you click on the link, so back over here on our comment link, what I'm going to do is I'm going to target that turbo frame. So we can put a data turbo frame and then just copy that same DOM ID code. Now we're targeting this turbo frame. So when you click the link on the comment button, it's going to send a request inside of the turbo frame, which would then load up content and it should populate that pop-up section. So now all we have to do is come up with that route and that view and everything. So what I'll probably do is I'll create a comments folder and controller that's nested inside of posts, just like we did for likes, although the likes doesn't have a view because we didn't really need it. So what I'll do is I'll start by going over to the config routes.rb, and let's take a look at what's going on. So this is already perfect. We have a resources post and we have a scope module post, and then inside of it we have the nested likes controller. And what this means is the likes URL will now be nested with posts. So you would pass in a post model and it would set up the URL correctly. And if we go to the controllers, the app controllers post likes controller, you'll see that we have this set post method, which is actually setting the post. So if we wanted to, we could abstract this into a base controller for posts. That's something that I see quite often. And then we wouldn't have to rewrite the set post method, and anything else that we might do, like, oh, right here, action view record identifier, we could also include that if we wanted to, which I probably will. So to do that, first of all, let's go back to the routes config routes.rb, and let's add our resources for comments. So I'll do resources comments. Now for right now, initially, what I'm thinking is that we'd load up the index page. So we can just do only index, and that would show all of the existing comments. But obviously, once we have the form, we would set up a couple different actions, but let's just leave it as this for now. And let's go back to the app controllers, and inside of this posts folder, I think I will start by creating a base controller. So a base controller is something that you do when you want to abstract logic for like a certain namespace. See how we're inside of the posts folder anyways? It's going to, what happens is we have this module post. That's the namespace right here, which means if we have a base controller, well, let's go ahead and generate that first. So I'm going to create the module post inside the base controller file, and then I'm going to do a class base controller. This is going to inherit from application controller. And then we can go back to the likes controller and we can take out this set post in the private section and stick it in here. Although one thing that you have to change is you can't use private if you're going to share the methods with the classes that inherit from it. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm also going to copy this top section. We're including action view record identifier, and we set the before action, and I'll drop this into the base controller. So the general idea is then we would go to the likes controller, and instead of inheriting from application controller, we inherit from base controller, and we get all of these methods, all of these before actions, and everything that included. So you can kind of use this as a central point for your posts. So anything that it's going to be inside of the post namespace, which would be like likes and comments, they could just use one central class to clean it up a little bit. And it does clean it up. But what I was going to say is that you can't use private when you're sharing methods with a class that's inheriting from your class. You have to use protected. Just a small little thing in Rails. Because private, when you try to run the method into the likes controller, although actually I don't know if that's important because we're doing the before action inside of the base controller. So now that I think about it, we might be able to use private unless you wanted to use the method directly inside of the likes controller. So I might actually be wrong about that. I think you could leave it as private because we're just inheriting. We're not going to try to call set post directly. Although it might be better to use protected. Let's see. So now I'm going to create the comments controller inside of the post folder. So I'm going to create this controller. And of course, we're going to have the module posts. We're going to have the class comments controller. And this is going to inherit from the base controller that we created. And you'll see because we're using the module namespace, it already knows that the base controller would be the one inside of the post module and not like if you had another base controller in your app. So that's something else that's very, very cool. If you write your code in this way with the modules, you can clean it up and you don't have to say something like, post : base controller. So inside the comments controller, like I said, we just are going to do that index action for now. And because we're inheriting for base controller, we already have the post set back here, see we have post set. So all you have to do is just basically pull out all the comments and render them on the page, which is super, super easy. So now I'm going to create the matching view. If we go to the views posts, I'm going to create a folder for comments. And then we're going to create that index.html file. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get that. I'm going to go back to the posts partial. I'm going to grab the turbo frame because we're going to need a matching turbo frame on the index page. And instead of the post variable, we need to use the instance variable. So add the @ sign. And then we're going to turn this into a block by adding a do and end. And then inside of the turbo frame, we can have whatever code we want to show inside of that turbo frame when it renders. So I mean, for right now, why don't we just put a little message? Although I don't even know if this is going to show up, but we could try putting a message. Do H1. We could see if all of this code that we've been doing even is working. So we'll do hello world message. All right, let's take a look if this did work. So I'm going to click on the comments. Oh, look, we got content missing error, which is better than, oh wait, that's not better. I was expecting hello world, but we just get content missing. So I'm going to open up the terminal. Let's take a look. It says the response did not contain the expected turbo frame and will be ignored. Interesting. So actually, wait, hold up. I think we never updated the link. So back on the feed post partial, we're still using the placeholder. Okay, that's why it didn't work. So that was the last thing we kind of had to update, is we have to put in the correct path, which would be post_comments path, and then of course pass in the post so that we can set that post later in the controller. All right, this should be better. Check it out. You click, says hello world. So obviously that works. So now I'm going to go back to that comments, the post comments index, and we can actually think about what we're going to put in here, although that's pretty good. I'll just have a div class, and well, the funny thing is we don't have any comments, so it's going to be hard to really view all the comments if there isn't any comments. So maybe what I'll do first is I'll try to create the pop-up slide out bar just so we can see that working. So I'll do something like give it a light background, rounded, and then maybe a fixed height. So height 80, and then maybe if I can do width full. Now what we can do is we can even add a message. We'll check if, wait, I put an @ sign on the if post.comments.empty. So if there's no post comments, we are going to display a little message. Say no comments on post yet. So at least we should be able to see that. Oh, check it out. That's pretty sweet. So I clicked on it. This is what it showed up as. So the width full, that's how much width it thinks that it has, even though it should have the full width of the post. So we're gonna have to look into that. I don't see the text, but I think it's because I did, look, we have the same background color as we do for the text color. That was a goofy mistake. But if you do highlight, you'll see that the message is showing up. So I think I'm gonna reduce the size, and then of course, let's go for a dark background. Whoops. I mean, not a dark background, a dark text. So I click comments, and boom, that's the type of slide out that we get. So right away, I can see that it is overflowing a bit on the bottom. And we ran into that issue with doing this absolute bar, so we kind of had to position it up a little bit. We can just do the same thing for our comments absolute class. So that's down here. If we go back to the feed post partial, we have this div at the bottom with the absolute bottom 0. So if we just increase that, and I think also if we did width full, we could maybe get it to do the full width. So let's do width full plus bottom 24. And then we'll try to click again. Honestly, that is so good. That is basically just what I was trying to do. So we click comment, and I reduced it to 20 instead of 24, and it's actually perfect. It says no comments on post yet. So back on that index page, you probably center that at least. Click no comments on post yet. And ideally, so this is ideally, you could click anywhere else and have this pop-up bar like just disappear, ideally. Now that's actually easy. Now that I think about it, that is pretty easy with Stimulus, or with, I mean, just JavaScript. Stimulus is the framework that we use. But another thing we could do just to keep it simple, keep it Rails, avoid the JavaScript, but we will do that in a second. I think we could just simply add a XL button. So up at the top, let's have another div, do width full, flex, justify, end. And then we're gonna have some sort of link. So link to, let's just say exit for now. And so where it's gonna go is it's gonna need to, well, that's the funny thing is they're actually, like, we're not gonna be able to reset that turbo frame unless we can somehow navigate back to the post partial, but because this is rendered in a partial, that's not gonna work. So if there was like a show page where we were rendering this, which we probably could do, I think we have a post show page. We totally do. So maybe I'll just do that. I'll just render that partial. So let's go back to feed show page, right? And we'll take the code for render post, which is, that's so easy. We'll take that, just drop it right in the show page. Or actually, maybe I'll copy the whole code from show page, this whole thing. Although we don't need this controller for the feed, we don't need that to reset because it's just a show page. But I think copying this code is cool. We can get rid of this if statement, render the post, but we're gonna have to hard code the path because we're in a different folder. So we'll say feed/post. And now we have a show page which is rendering all the same content, which means if we just said that that cancel link on the index page, if that just went back to the post page, which we could just simply pass in at post, it should clear out the turbo frame and not cause an error. Crazy enough, like actually crazy enough. So we click exit. Ah, we get an error because, oh, inside of the feed post, uh, we're still rendering some partials, but because we were doing it in a different folder, it wasn't able to find the like partials. So all we have to do is just hard code this path too. So we say feed/like. Now it's gonna not make any mistake. It's gonna know, just to do that. And if we click exit, that is insane, guys. So what it's doing is it's redirecting that turbo frame to this show page, which is re-rendering the, not that show page in particular, the post show page, this one. It's re-rendering the post partial, which is then it's looking for this matching turbo frame down here. So it might be a bit overkill just to empty out that element. That's why we might want to use JavaScript too. Although it's not like it's slow or anything. Like this works really well, really well. But if you wanted to save that trip, but that's the funny thing is like the web servers render so fast anyways. Like this was like a millisecond render. How is that even slower than maybe JavaScript? JavaScript is pretty slow because it has to do all this stuff on the front end. Like it's not like JavaScript is fast. So it's pretty insane. And I might go to hero icons and find a little X icon, although we could just put the letter X if we wanted to. But okay, let's go back to views, comments, index, and then on this, I'm gonna put a little padding too. And then yeah, instead of doing the exit, let's just do a do for a block, do the end, and then drop in our icon, which, oh, I forgot to copy it. Drop it in, and then of course give it width. Well, it already had width. I think that's probably fine because it's gonna be a dark color by default. You click on it, you can easily, X out. We could even add a hover effect. We love those hover effects. So I'll just do it on the link. Hover scale 105. So then you come in here, you're like, okay, I don't want to view any comments anymore. Get out of there. It works really well, in my opinion. So the last thing would just be putting the form. I guess on the bottom of here, we could have like a little section for the form to allow a user to submit a comment. So back on the comments index, we could do another turbo frame. I was kind of tempted to do that, but I don't even see the reason. We might as well just do it inline. Let's say we have another div down here. Give this a fixed height, like something like 24. I'm gonna put a funny background color just for now. Click here. Oh, that's not where I want it. So I actually want it all the way at the bottom. And that'll be our section for creating our own comment. Let me see if I can do empty auto. Nope. Does not like that. So I think we have to wrap this whole section in a flex class first. Flex call. And then I should be able to say empty auto. Oh. Wait, no, that's not what I was thinking. I got confused for a second. Click, nope. I think the flex call is good. We just need to add the margin top auto. There we go. So now it's pushed itself to the bottom, and the reason why it's working now is because we have the flex class on the container. And then this message for comments, that's totally fine. We can just leave that. And what we'll do is once we have comments, we'll just do it, we'll do the if else, and we'll render all the comments. Or at least like a couple of them, I don't know. However we plan on doing it. So now that we have the section for the form though, I'm just going to straight up put a form in. So we'll do form width. And the URL would probably be post comments path. So this would hit the create action on the controller, which we do not have it yet. So I think if we just left this like this and reload, we might get an error. So we didn't. Oh, you know what? We didn't get the error because we already defined the index route, which is the same thing as this. But the difference is when you send a post request, which is what the form will do, it's not going to render the index action. It's actually going to render the create action. But what I'll do is, oh right, I forgot to pass in the variable, the block variable. I forget what this is called, but we have to pass in like an f or a form and then use that to all the methods. We're going to say like form.textArea. And if you remember, we had the body for the comment. So if we click, check it out. Now we have a little text area at the bottom. Although I'm sure we can make that look a lot better. Let's give it a class. Let's do width full, height full, rounded large. And then I also want to get rid of the resize. There's no reason to have resize on a TikTok comment field. So if we click back, now it's just this simple little thing. So you can still type as much as you want, but it just does a scroll instead of resizing. And I am confused why there's a space at the bottom. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to do the BG pink again. Because I'm pretty sure that, yeah, look, there's like a bunch of space that this text area doesn't want to go in. Not sure why. I'm going to try add a flex class and see if that helps. Sometimes it does. Just like that. Look at it. For whatever reason it helped. Although now the width full is weird. So I'm not really sure what's happening there. Sometimes it's because of the form element that's messing it up. So we might have to add another kind of div inside of here. Tell it width full, height full. It can get kind of weird with CSS sometimes. Okay, so now, I mean, it's taking the full width, but it's not taking the full height. So like, what's going on? What's going on here? But inspect, why is it so weird? I honestly do think it is the form element. So let's get rid of this div. And you can apply styling directly to a form element. Sometimes I have to do this. You can just say like class and make it, force it to do width full. And there, we got past our little issue. Wasn't really a big deal though anyways. So now we can safely get rid of the pink background. And boom, we have this whole little section down here. You know what I'll do is I'll probably add a slight bit of padding. Just so that you could totally tell that's a text field. And yeah, that looks excellent, in my opinion. We could probably even put a placeholder. I think you could do that. Say placeholder, enter your comment here. Check it out. We have a little placeholder. And then the last thing that we need is a submit button. So I'll probably just do a hero icon again. And we could do like send or like chat. Probably just chat. Or I don't know. I don't really know if I like that for the send. Is that how TikTok does it? Maybe. I think they might, like message. We could just copy that message icon, why not? And what I'm gonna want to do is I'm gonna want to position it absolutely on top of our fields, but to like the right side. So to do that, let's add a relative class to this wrapping div. And then inside of the form, we're gonna have a button tag. So instead of doing a submit, like a form.submit, you aren't able to pass a block and customize that, but with a button tag, you are. So all we have to do is say button tag and then set the type to submit. And we can pass a block, which means we can stuff whatever content we want inside of it, which in this case is an SVG. We can do like width 10. I think the color should already be good. And then as far as the class, I'm gonna do absolute. And let's do like a top 4, right 4. Just see how that looks. Come back. I mean, wow, that's basically perfect. The last thing that we might want to do is just add a cursor pointer, because for some reason buttons and tailwinds don't get a cursor pointer class by default. And then we could even make it like hover at least. Hover scale 105. But this should totally work. You should be able to enter a comment. Now, what this does is check it out. It actually sends a request to the right path. We just don't have that defined yet. So this is already basically really amazing. We just have to set that up. So let's go to the comments controller and let's add a create action. Well, actually, we're going to go to the routes first because we have to make sure that the route is set up. So let's go to config routes to RB. And all we have to do is add a create route. So basically right next to index, just add create. Look at how easy that is. And now inside of the post comments controller, we can handle creating the comment. Say post.comments.create. We'll get the user ID from the current user.id. This is actually probably a good point to lock down the app. Wait, oh, we don't have any code that's saying authenticate user except for the post page. We never really worked on that. So, I mean, because our whole app kind of does require you to sign in. We could just put it on the application controller. Say like before action, authenticate user. And then if there's any pages that you don't want a user to sign in, like for example, the home page, of course, you wouldn't want a user to sign in before they see the home page. We just skip the action. So we say skip before action, authenticate user. That's a pretty chill way of doing it, I think. And then it saves you some peace of mind, so you know that users aren't going to be going to the comments page just without having an account or anything. Even though it really wouldn't matter because it'd probably cause an error anyways. When they try to create a comment and they're not signed in, it's like we couldn't find the user ID, and yeah, so it's not really a big deal, but I just wanted to say that we could handle that. And then even on the base controller, I was saying that we could put something like that in the base controller, but I don't think it's a big deal. So now on the create action, but for stuff like authorization, that's where it might come in handy. So authorization means like if a certain user wanted to edit a post, but you have to be an owner to do it. But let's get to that later, because I think at this point, if we're already scoping posts to a current user, your authorization is already secure because they wouldn't be able to edit anybody else's post right off the bat, which is an awesome thing. Honestly, that's really cool. Although I think in the post controller, we do have some stuff slipping through. For example, the update. Right now we're setting the post not off the current user, but off of the main post object. So it actually isn't secure, which is insane. So hold up. Let me go back to the application controller, comment out authenticate user, and I want to show you how insane that is. So if I was to copy one of these posts, take the URL, go to incognito, it actually says I need to sign in. Well, that's because of the post controller. All right, so let's say I do sign in. I'm gonna be hacker guy for this. Sign up. Check it out. I'm back at the post, right? No big deal. And if I go to /edit, yeah, I actually can edit somebody's posts, which is not good. And even if I wanted to delete it, all I have to do is send a delete request to this post. So I'm sure there's, tons of ways to do that with fetch. I don't really remember how to do it. I'm just gonna look it up because why not? Fetch delete request. Oh yeah. When I look at this, it makes me sick. This JavaScript code. Yeah, I don't like JavaScript. But anyways, I was just gonna show you guys. Funny enough, our app is not secure right now. But I'm gonna put back the authenticate user because all we're doing is we're handling authentication but not authorization. So really the only reason that we have the set post pulling from the general post, the only time that that would even be important was the show page. So we might as well copy this and shove this in the show action. And then when we do set post, don't do it for the show action, do it for edit, update, and destroy. And then the way that we're going to set post now is for current user dot posts, which will right off the bat, that'll make it way more secure because yeah, let's just say that we do the same thing. So I copy this URL to a certain post, go in incognito. Of course, I'm gonna have to create a new account. Sign up. I go to that same route. See, I can still see the post, which that's important because, the comment path that, like the way that we're doing this code, I guess the only thing that's really using it is the exit button is going to the show page. But anyways, if I go and try to edit this guy's post, you'll see what it says is we couldn't find a post with your ID, which I think in production it wouldn't show all this code because that wouldn't be good either. You don't want a hacker knowing like, oh, this guy's using Rails. But I think it only shows the actual code in development. In production, it would just show like a 400 screen, which is pretty cool. And you can customize those too, by the way. Anyways, this is crazy. We have this whole comment feature. We just have to kind of finish this off. I took a little detour right there just to talk about some random stuff. But let's try to finish this off. So if I say, hey, what happens in the back end? We actually created the post comment, but I know for sure I forgot something in the comments controller, but it's just crazy to see that it worked. So look, we're creating a comment with the user ID, but we're never passing in the body. So I have to say body is params body. I don't know if it so we can actually see the whole request, the parameters, and yeah, it's just coming through as body. There's no namespace. Sometimes there's like the model namespace, but that's only if you specify the model on the form. We didn't specify the model, we just specified the URL, so it avoids that namespace, which could be good or could be bad. It doesn't really matter actually. So what we'll do is for create, set comment equal to post.comments, and then we can do whatever we want to do here. So, I mean, honestly, we don't even have to set this. I think all we have to do is just redirect back to the index page. And then it would reload all the comments and everything. So we could redirect back to post comments path, pass in post. I think it's really as simple as that. Look, when you load up now, there's no message that says no comments. So there totally is comments. We just have to render those on the view. So let's go back to views, feed post. Or actually, no, not there. Let's go back to views, post comments index. And then right here where we're checking if the comments are empty, I'm going to change this to if comments.any. And then we can just have the else, which would be the same. Like if there is no comments, then it'll show this. But if there is comments, let's go ahead and have a new div. Do widthful, heightful, flex call. And then probably we'll do scroll for sure, overflow y scroll. Because we might have, a bunch of comments. Then what I'll do is I'll render the post.comments. And I might want to order them by the newest. So created at descending. Just like this. And depending on how we want to render this, we could put it in a partial. I might just do it inline for now. So say each do comment. And then we can put our code for our little comment. So let's do like, whatever you're feeling for a comment. I don't really know what I want to have for a comment. Maybe you could probably just not even put a background. That's something that I was learning for a good styling trick is like, it can be tempting to put backgrounds on everything, but then you have like this sort of collage effect where you have all these different backgrounds overlaying. Sometimes it's just better to do something like a border if you wanted to like separate the comments. We could do border 2, border gray 900, and then what we'll do is inside of this element, we could just simply print out the body and then who posted it. So I'm actually going to do a flex call here so we can stack the items on top of each other. And then first of all, I'm just going to print out the comment.body. So right here, open up our comments and oh, that's weird. So I see, I see a border for one comment, but I don't see any text. I think it's because the first comment didn't actually have any content. So I'm gonna do this again. Hey, no way. Totally working. Although yeah, this is, check it out. The border stuff is so funny because look, it's like we can create a bunch of empty comments. So we might want to fix that. Comment body. You know what I'll do is I'll say in the model, let's go to models, post RB. Or no, not. Let's go to post comment. And let's validate presence. So validates presence of body, which means every comment has to have a body. And then on the index page in the form, we can have a required true. So now on both sides, you're protected against, if a guy just tries to click the button without putting comment text, it's going to stop him. But then on the back end too, if somehow they got around it, it would also cause an error. Then real quickly, I'm just going to go in Rails console and I'm going to delete those old comments real quick. So post.comment .destroy all. Boom, we got rid of all the old comments. Then we could try this one more time. So if I click comment, like, haha, this is so funny. Post, this is what we get. So right off the bat, it looks pretty weird with the border. I guess I didn't think about the border goes all the way around the element. I just wanted to put border on the bottom. So do border B2, and I don't even think I want 2 as the thickness. I just want 1. We can just say border B. Yeah, that's more what I was thinking. So see, at least you have like this little thing to separate each comment in the UI. And then we could say, who said it. So I'm just going to put I'm going to put a span. And I'll say the username. So we'll put in the comment.user.username. Now we check out comments. Hey, check it out. It's me. I'm the guy who wrote that comment. We could do more. And yeah, check it out. We even have scrollable comments. This is pretty cool. And then if we wanted to put how long ago they did it, why don't we put that before, just say like this long ago. And there's a cool helper inside of Rails, time ago in words. You say time ago in words and then pass in your object, which would be comment, and it'll automatically come up with a cool text. Although, oh, I guess you can't just pass in the model, you have to pass in the attribute that you want to use, which is the created at timestamp. That's my bad. And all right, let's go back to our main page. There's no comments on this yet. And check it out. It says less than a minute by Indigo Coolest. So you probably want to say like less than, and then put your ago. Yeah, I think that's pretty clean. Want to do emojis or anything, we could probably do that too. Talk on Rails. Yeah, honestly, this is a vibe right here. I can't believe we even built this. We have comments, we have likes. Like, what else is there really to add? I think that's perfect for this episode. I'm so happy right now that we built this. But you know what I'm gonna end it off with is I found this website called Pexels. Pexels free shorts. So Pexels, I've already heard of them before. They do like stock footage or videos and pictures, almost like Unsplash a little bit. But check it out, they have free short videos, which is perfect for testing our app. So if you guys needed some shorts, right here, I think we can just yeah, check out how easy that is. We can download a bunch of these random shorts. And now we don't have to look at that dog video anymore, although it's funny, but like, come on. We need something else. At least a picture of some coffee. That's a vibe, or a picture walking in the woods. And yeah, now that we have those, I might just go and um where's our seeds file? So we have this DB seeds. Oh, we put it in test videos. That's a good place to put it. I think what I'll do is I'll grab one of those shorts that we just got. How about the coffee short? I like coffee. I'm sipping on coffee right now. Coffee.mp4. And then what we can do is I'm going to update our seeds to do the coffee.mp4. And I'm going to change the title to like coffee post. All right, and then we'll go into the console and we're going to see it again. And as you can see, it's going to do 100 times. So we're going to have 100 coffee posts just by doing Rails DB seed. And boom, it's chugging along, doing our seed data. Oh, and we did get an error, which I don't think that's a problem because I think it already went through most of the posts. If we restart, we should be able to see some coffee posts now. Still the dog posts. Hey, coffee posts. There we go. I'm gonna leave a comment. I love coffee. So this is actually pretty clean. Oh, one thing I just noticed is I was like really excited there and I wanted to immediately start typing, but I had to click on the text field to get started. And that's where this thing called what is it called? Autofocus. We can add autofocus to the form, which means as soon as it pops open, it'll focus. The only, oh yeah, there's no problem with that. I was gonna say there's a problem, but no, there's no problem. Just say autofocus true. If you click, and boom, look, it's automatically focused, which means if I was really excited, I click and I immediately can start typing instead of clicking on the text field again. All right, now yeah, I think this is perfect. There's really not much that I want to do for this video. I think this was amazing. So the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna push my new code to the GitHub. So if you guys did not know, anybody who's watching this video, anybody who didn't even watch the video, you can go and download the source code for this whole thing I've been building on GitHub, completely free. It's my present to the world, my present to you guys. So, well, first of all, I want to build these tutorials, show you guys how to learn to code, how to learn Ruby on Rails. Second of all, I want to give you the source code because too many people are gatekeeping source code for apps that are, I don't care about this app at all. You can take this, make $1 million off it. I will not beg you. I will not harass you at all. Please do it. Because I love you guys. I love the Rails community. I love humans, The ones who are on my channel, they gotta be chill. Anyways, I'm gonna add all the stuff and I'm gonna do a commit. So new changes for new video. That's comments to TikTok Rails app. Just like that. We're gonna go ahead and push. Yeah, that's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for future videos. Leave all your comments and feedback in the comment section below. Please like the video too. Share it with all your friends because, yeah, I want people to know about this. And you saw what we just built in this episode. This was pretty incredible. Yeah, catch you guys in a later video.